evening, CBS Sports HQ. This is the Mock Draft Monday special, version 3.0. Here's a look at the top 12 picks. Las Vegas on the clock. Joe Burrow, Chase Young went 1 and 2. Then we had a string of quarterbacks, 3 out of 4. Tua Tagovailoa via trade. Justin Herbert via trade. Then Jordan Love at number 5. And then you see it all the way down with Isaiah Simmons at 10. Andrew Thomas via trade at 11. And the pick is in. The Las Vegas Raiders and general manager Brady Quinn.
This was somewhat of an easy pick for me after I had a long conversation with our owner, Mark Davis. He said, you know, my dad used to look for a couple things in the draft: size and speed. And in this case, given our needs on this team, we had to find a wide receiver. Who better than Henry Ruggs out of Alabama, who's the fastest player in this draft. We now feel like we've got a nice complement for Derek Carr to go along with Darren Waller at tight end and Tyrell Williams on the outside. So if you look at Ruggs' film, you see the blazing speed, but you also see his ability to take the short, intermediate, and deep passes to the house. 25% of his catches went for touchdowns. And so there's a lot of upside. Even though he's not the biggest player, we feel like he's got a lot of raw ability and the intangibles, the hands and the route running that we're looking for.
He's got the speed that Al Davis certainly loves. Only one drop pass there in college last year. Brady, though, there was a consensus that it would be Jeudy or Lamb as the first wide receiver taken, but you're taking Henry Ruggs the third as the first guy off the board.
I have the beholder. I mean, Tommy, do I need to repeat myself? This is what the Raiders do. They look for size and speed, things that you cannot teach in the NFL. And so Mark Davis, when he knocked on my door and told me that, I said, I know exactly what he's looking for. He's not looking for a complete wide receiver like Jerry Jeudy. He's not looking for a guy who can get you all the yak after the catch like CeeDee Lamb. He wants a guy who's a game breaker, and you know our head coach, John Gruden's going to be excited about drawing up plays to get the football in his hands.
All right, Henry Ruggs in that 4.27, getting ready to go to the desert there and go join the Las Vegas Raiders. We have another trade at number 13. Trade alert, the 49ers. And Will Brinson doing work with the Eagles. So San Francisco moving back to the 21st pick. They get 103 and 145. Meanwhile, Philly, they get the 13th overall pick. Speaking of, the pick is in. Jonathan Jones making that announcement here.
With the number 13 overall pick, my Philadelphia Eagles select CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Listen, I'll tell you what, Will Brinson struck a very hard bargain. I did not want to have to throw that fourth-round pick in there, but I, as Howie Roseman, I'm not big on a whole bunch of draft picks, right? I have 8 this season. Since I've won the Super Bowl, I've picked 5 guys 2 years ago, 5 guys last year. I'm not taking 8, so I'm okay giving him that fourth rounder, throwing that in there. I need the best wide receiver in the draft. And when I saw the Raiders take Henry Ruggs, I said, okay, that's great. So now I have my pick. And honestly, CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy are 1 and 1A for me. When I made this move and when I was thinking about it, I said, maybe one of them will be available to me. It turns out both were available to me. And honestly, it's in the eye of the beholder. I like CeeDee Lamb. I like the yak. The Eagles need a wide receiver. I just got the best one in the draft.
And Brady, when you look at the trade there from Wilshire, San Francisco, trying to get back to the Super Bowl, getting a little bit of extra draft capital, do you think that was a wise move there on his part?
Sure. I mean, I think if they can get the right players that can help them get over the hump, I mean, that's what this is about. But for the Eagles and looking at them being aggressive and trading up to take a guy like CeeDee Lamb, clearly they understand what they need to help pair with Carson Wentz. This was a team that was decimated at the wide receiver position. And even though they were able to overcome some of those injuries, they still need to find a game breaker, a number 1 type of guy. And I think Doug Peterson, as well as Carson Wentz, should be excited about having a guy like CeeDee Lamb now that moved around a bunch of different positions, being the featured wide receiver out of Oklahoma. And so he can fit in a myriad of ways, I think, within this Eagles offense.
Back-to-back wide receivers taking here at 12 and 13. Where will Jerry Jeudy go? We'll have to wait and see, but we do know the Florida residency out in Tampa Bay. And, of course, we have a trade review that we had early on with the Broncos and Dave Richard going to the Jets. The New York Jets there, by the way, was represented by John Breach, who's not with us. So let me go ahead and announce that pick is in for the New York Jets. And it is going to be Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver out of Alabama. So we talked about a cluster, Brady Quinn, of wide receivers off the board. But in this mock draft, Jerry Jeudy's the third guy.
Yeah, and it's a bit surprising only because I think if, for me, looking at, being a part of the pick, pick for Las Vegas and taking Henry Ruggs, that all has to do with fit and really what that organization is looking for out of their wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy, I think, surprised a lot of people this past year's NFL Combine running in the 4.4s. Even though he demonstrates at times that breakaway speed that you see, what you really notice on film is the crisp route running. It's him being able to break people's ankles and leave them in the dust. So for the Jets, it's a perfect fit. It's a huge need within Adam Gase's offense, especially after they lost Robbie Anderson. Will he be the same type of speedster on the outside? I don't think so, but there's no doubt he's going to be their #1 option for Sam Darnold, and that's really what they're trying to do, is figure out the future for him and Darnold moving forward and providing him some sort of weapons on the outside.
Let's welcome back fellow Pick Six Pod super friend Ryan Wilson for the grade on his guy John Breech.
A+. By the way, Tommy, worth pointing out, you said John Breech is not here. He didn't die. His wife's actually having a baby today. So great news for John Breech and baby Breech. All good news for John. So there we go. And great graphic, A+, Tommy, on Jerry Jeudy. If he had been there at 11 when the Jets stayed put before that trade with the Broncos, it'd have been a great pick then. It's even better now. They get a few more draft picks. They get Royce Freeman in that trade from the Broncos. So all thumbs up. I'm with Brady. This allows Sam Darnold to have one more weapon. Judy's compared favorably to Odell Beckham in that sort of wide receiver role, and I think he will flourish in New York, and Sam Darnold and Adam Gase will certainly welcome him there.
A lot of A+ from Ryan Wilson so far. You could tell he'd be an easy teacher. I wish I would have had him at a teacher.
Kind of throwing it out there, the cumulative score. By the way, I said John's not with us for the show. I didn't say he's no longer with us, but thank you for clarifying.
Well, Tommy, you didn't make it seem like that.
Did I? No, I did not.
It almost sounded like you killed off John Breech.
What?
Yeah.
Well, my apologies to the Breech family. If anything, we should be a happy time. It's been fun, though. But again, Ryan, thank you for clarifying for that. And again, we'll have a few more picks there from the Breech regime that will be conveyed there either through Ryan or myself here on CBS Sports HQ. All right, so we talked about the wide receivers taken so far in the first round. Again, 12 and 13. That's kind of what it has always been, although the San Francisco 49ers originally in that 13th spot for this mock draft, trading with the Eagles. So again, it's Henry Ruggs at number 3, or rather number 12, Henry Ruggs the third, CeeDee Lamb at number 13, and then Jerry Jeudy at number 15. With a fantasy perspective, we welcome in Dave Richard back into the fold, putting on his fantasy hat here. So when we talked about the wide receivers with the most upside, you take a look at the 3 that I just mentioned, Dave. Who are you most high on?
Oh, I'd be so excited to have CeeDee Lamb on my fantasy team. Really, whoever becomes the top rookie receiver for Philadelphia, that's the one I think fantasy managers are going to key in on. And let's face it, look at the quarterbacks that these 3 wide receivers went to. CeeDee Lamb has Wentz. That's a great situation. He can connect with him right away. Henry Ruggs in Vegas, I'm not sure if he'll be able to really take advantage of his speed as much there, because Derek Carr doesn't challenge downfield enough. And then in New York, Jerry Jeudy, amazing talent, maybe my favorite wide receiver in the draft, but Sam Darnold and that offensive line being in terrible shape, I'm worried that he won't get used well enough or often enough in New York. So to me, if this is where they're going, CeeDee Lamb could be an impactful fantasy receiver. And all 3 of these guys have a chance to be, at minimum, a number 3 receiver in fantasy. But CeeDee Lamb in Philadelphia, that's number 2 wide receiver territory. I wouldn't mind drafting him late round 6 if that's where he ended up going.
All right. Dave Richard throwing some ADP out there to let you know what to do if this particular scenario plays out. Our thanks to Dave Richard with a fantasy perspective on the wide receivers.